Hello and welcome to the Serving Kult Podcast, the place where you can explore culture, chaos and hyperpop. Throughout this episode, we will be speaking to DJs, producers and of course upcoming artists in the hyperpop and queer rave scenes from the UK to the USA. We will be looking at what it's like to be an upcoming creative in the current music industry landscape, going into more specifics into each artist and their projects as well, and advice for future hyperpop and queer rave artists. So, keep listening to learn more about the next big thing that could be an upcoming DJ, producer or artist with me, Anya, and the lovely contributors of this episode. So, hi, lovely to meet you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you too.
Do you want to explain to the people listening and watching who you are and where you're based?
So my name's Silver, or I go by PISSXIE. That's my sort of alias, I suppose, for art. I'm a South Asian DJ, producer, tattoo artist, visual artist, multidisciplinary artist from London.
So my name is Baby Goose, but you can call me Emily if you'd like. I am a DJ / music artist. I make sort of electronic music with a hyperpoppy twist, and I'm based in Cardiff in Wales, if anyone doesn't know where that is.
Yeah, my name is AMAVA. I'm a hyperpop artist. I am originally from the West Coast, actually, so I'm from both California and Oregon, but now I live in Nashville, Tennessee, in the South. Not a lot of hyperpop there, but you know, we're building that community.
So my name's Maya. I go by she, they pronouns. I'm also known by my stage name Mastaratt, and I'm based up in Wrexham in North Wales, and I'm a producer amongst many other things in the music industry.
I'm eleu, and I'm based in Leeds at the minute. I didn't grow up here, but I went to university here, so I love this place a lot.
So I'm MARiMARi. I make hyperpop, and I'm based in the northwest, kind of Liverpool area.
My name is Elle, but some of you might know me as Princess Elfbar, aka the industry's favourite, industry ruiner. I'm a DJ, events promoter with Booty Shaking Besties, and baby producer right now. I'm from Hull, but I live in Leeds.
So I'm Megan, aka Coxon. I live in Brighton. Previously lived in Bristol for 5 years, but I'm from Bradford near Leeds. I've moved around the country quite a lot. And I DJ and produce music, electronic music. I run events.
So, you've mentioned you create hyperpop. What are your inspirations for the choice of making hyperpop music?
Yeah, so I actually originally grew up writing folk music. That's kind of my background. Where I went to school in Oregon, I had a very interesting schooling experience as far as kind of the curriculum they taught. We had a program, it was called the Americana Project, and they really kind of fostered young artists, and they would give us like a song theme at the beginning of the week on a Monday, and by Friday we had to get up on stage and sing the song and like get critiqued on it and basically like do the full thing from like start to finish. And I was very into like that indie folk scene just because that's like so much of what I grew up in, and we had a big like folk festival. But then as I was like growing up and getting ready to move to Nashville for college, I was on Tumblr during that time, like when it was really like the heyday during like 2014, and I was discovering like Charlie XCX and then like the likes of Sophie and everything, and I was like, this is my sound, and this is like what I feel like represents me. And I still love folk music, but I have found a home in hyperpop and just the sounds and the community and everything.
I recently became an artist based off sort of years of DJing in Leeds. So that consisted a lot of, I feel like I've gone through all the genres of DJing and like sort of played a lot of garage to begin with and house and then techno, and then it sort of progressively got like harder and weirder. And then eventually sort of landed in hyperpop more recently. I played at the Booty Shaking Besties last year in September, which was one of the best nights I've played in Leeds. So much fun. And and that was literally just before I started really thinking about becoming a producer / artist. I think I'd sort of toyed with the idea of producing for a while because of my brother who produces himself. But getting into sort of singing and actually sort of songwriting and like creating music felt really, I don't know, inaccessible, because I guess I'm not like a naturally good singer or like a classically trained singer. But it was through meeting my housemate Oshi Moon, who is one of my best friends as well, and his like ability to sing and rap, and he sort of showed me how to use like the technology that we have, so like auto-tune and sort of Ableton, and how we can like warp our vocals and stuff, and it sort of really inspired me to give it a go myself. I think I am like easily inspired by like everything around me, and especially the people around me. And yeah, even though it's my project, it felt like a very much collaborative project, and it was really inspiring to be around it. Like our house itself is inspiring. We all live together, and we have one room that's like the studio, and it's got all the equipment, and you walk in and you're inspired. It's like got a real feel of like magic in the air, because every night, like if we spend an evening in there, something gets created. So yeah, now that project's been created, Soft Cute Hard, that's my first EP, and like it is very hyperpop, but it's also other genres. Like it's got trap on it as well, and it's got other sort of like, it's like an amalgamation of our influences all together. And it sort of felt like an experiment of like, how do we come together and what do we all sound like?
Could you just give us more of a, specific into who your inspirations are, or what your inspirations are?
I would say that like just kind of the wider rave scene, like wider like art and music community, like I kind of get inspired from like lots of things around me. When I first started DJing, like, or was like getting into it, I suppose like my sort of main inspirations were coming from like the queer rave scene in London, nights such as like Inferno, Repast, like there's a bunch of others. Like I just kind of started like attending them and stuff, and I guess was super inspired by like the music and how different it was compared to like, your like normal clubs that you would go to. And yeah, that's kind of where it all, I guess, the first sort of inspiration came from. But nowadays it kind of comes from everything around me, like especially, I guess, a lot of my friends as well. A lot of my friends make music and do art, so I get pretty inspired from them too.
Yeah, I really hate this question because it's really hard to answer. There's a lot of music. I'm influenced by a lot of things. I can list a few.
Yeah, go through some influences. We want to hear what kind of stuff inspires you.
So it's like dubstep, bassline, hardcore, electro, fidget house. Occasionally I'll play a bit of a drum and bass song, but not much drum and bass. I just play what I like. I don't try and like squish it into one genre. I like lots of things, so I will squish lots of things into my performances on my music.
Is there any kind of main inspirations for you as an artist?
From when I was like a teenager, I discovered this record label called Mutant Bass, and they're based in Bristol, and that's kind of what I built my sound around. And yeah, I moved down to Bristol for university because I was like, that's where the music is that I want to do. And yeah, and then I became part of the label, and then now I'm not really as much involved with it anymore. It's not really as active, and now I'm starting my own label off the back of it, sort of thing. It's like it's heavily inspired by that music, but a bit faster, but more hardcore, and was also going to do some other genres too. So that like mutant bass sound is kind of became its own genre.
Like most things, it started with metal music for me, really, and then tracing it back to when Korn released an album called The Path of Totality, and that had artists like Kill the Noise and Skrillex on there. And around about the same time that was coming out, I was listening to bands like Skindred, who obviously have a very strong reggae influence. So I kind of got into the electronic stuff at the same time that I got into reggae. And then that led me down the path of what inevitably ended in like Dub 140, which is bass heavy sound system dance music that is derived from the reggae movement, like reggae dub sound. So it's tied in with drum and bass sort of at gigs a lot. But yeah, I always trace it back to that Korn album. That just, I got really into electronic music production after hearing that and sort of wondering how are they making all these sounds.
Yeah, so I started off DJing in like 2022 with DJ Lulu, who's in Boot Shaking Besties. We like started DJing together at after parties where we were like, oh, all of our friends were like mainly boys and they play like, they're like all amazing DJs. But they were like all playing their tunes and we were like,
we want our tunes.
Yeah, we were like super into like the, like obviously PC music. We've like been like huge fans. Like I was like a Charlie XCX fan since like 2012. Like I saw her play Leeds Fest to like no one in like 2013. So yeah, I'm big into like Sophie and stuff. And then me and Lily were super into the SoundCloud donk scene with like Lobster B, DJ Finger Blast, you like all people like that. And we were like, oh, you want some like fun like edits on at the afters and like hyperpop. But we didn't know how to DJ. So we were just like, oh, we're going to like teach ourselves how to DJ so we can basically play tunes at after parties. That was kind of like why we did it.
The original goal.
Yeah. And then we got a radio show on Sable Radio. They gave us our first opportunity, which was amazing, to just play like silly music and like hyperpop and fun stuff like that. And I'd never like done any like production. The first thing I like made, because I'm not from like a musical background, I'm from like a theatre background, so I used to do like set design and like production management and stuff. I was like very, very into theatre, and I've always loved music. I've always wanted to be like a musician, I guess, but like I never really had like any like musical talent. I used to sing when I was younger, which is something that I would maybe one day like to get back into, but it's not a huge goal.
What sort of music do you create, considering you're a DJ and producer? Like what kind of music do you identify with the most?
During my DJ sets and when I'm producing things, I kind of take inspiration from lots of little things that I like around me. But if I sort of had to pin it down to a few genres, it would probably be like drum and bass and dubstep and breakcore. And
would you say that you're also somebody who would experiment with hyperpop sounds as well?
Yeah, definitely. I do. I definitely don't focus in on hyperpop, but I have like taken inspiration from hyperpop and do have it in my set sometimes as well.
I was going to say, I've listened to a couple of your mixes and I can tell there's like definite inspiration from like that. And also Nightcore, because...
Yeah, a lot of Nightcore, obviously. I mean, I'm like an emo kid, so...
It's part of the course. It's part of everything, for sure.
Like loving sort of the soft nature of like vocals and sort of sounds and energies, and like combining that with like hard hitting bass and distorted bass and like all this like intricate stuff that's really like powerful and empowering. And you know, the soft and the, almost the feminine doesn't have to be like the wispy or airy all the time. It can be really hard and powerful and empowering. And so when we were making it, we were sort of just like, yeah, we want this to sound really soft, but also really hard and cute as well. And so like we're like, oh, soft, cute, hard. That's a great name.
You've mentioned obviously that you make music yourself. How would you describe the kind of music that you make to somebody who's maybe never heard it before?
So I'd say that I make electronic music, but it has a poppy, fun twist. Basically, in one sentence, I'd say it's poppy dance music for hot people on sweaty dance floors. I don't know if I can describe it any better than that.
That's actually good. No, I really like that. I had a perfect picture in my head, so if it's the kind of people I can picture in my head, then we're all good.
Yeah. Got a few songs coming out this year, so once you hear those, you'll see exactly what I mean.
Oh, I hate this question. Crazy music, just like to your average Joe, like it's so hard to explain, and I just end up just sounding like a twat because I just like sound really eccentric and chin strokey. But yeah, crazy, heavy,
unpredictable.
Yeah, there's lots of switch ups and heavily sound design orientated.
Do you want to give a little bit more context to like the music you create in hyperpop? Do you want to I don't know, how would you describe the music that you make to people who've never heard it before?
I'd say it's like super sparkly, glittery, like feminine, kind of hyper alternative pop. Really inspired by like the likes of Charlie XCX and Ash Nico, like 100 Gex a little bit, and also just like J-pop and emo. It's like a big melting pot of like everything that I've grown up liking, I think. So yeah, that's kind of my music. I'm trying to write my second EP at the moment, and that's kind of, I'm figuring out the direction for that. But
so you're thinking that it's going to be maybe in a slightly different direction to the first?
A little bit clubby. So,
ooh,
yeah.
Exciting.
The kind of name of the genre that I guess I'm experimenting with / developing would be hybrid hardcore when it comes to the original material that I'm producing, which sort of refers to the elements of hardcore come in when I'm doing vocals on the mic. It's all very shouty, aggressive, punk-inspired sounds. And then the hybrid refers to how I'm mixing in other genres with that, mainly bass-heavy rave music, dubstep, drum and bass, inspired beats with hardcore, aggressive vocals over the top of that.
How has your experience been in the industry as a female identifying person in dance music and hyperpop?
Yeah, so I've been doing like releasing and gigging for about the past year, and it's been like a good mixed bag of experiences. Like I felt really quite comfortable in a lot of spaces actually. I was thinking about this today, and I've only supported like female non-binary artists at live shows. That's been really nice, just feeling quite comfortable. And yeah, I think people in the hyperpop community are quite accepting of all like diverse backgrounds. I've had a couple incidents, so to speak, where like it was like at the Deaf Institute actually, and the security guard who was monitoring like the backstage area, I was with my boyfriend, and he goes, "Are you with him?" Like as I was about to walk backstage. After I came off stage, I literally walked off stage.
Were you in
right?
your like stage
Full
outfit and everything?
Yeah, hair all done
Oh
up,
my God.
like tiny skirts. Like I literally walked off the stage after I performed, and he goes, "Are you with him?" I was like, Excuse me? Yeah. So,
what do you mean?
I know stuff like that is really like reminds me that like even though I've had the opportunities to like support such like wonderful artists, that there still is like a slight like inequality.
I think being a woman in the music industry in general is definitely interesting. I've had just some like interesting experiences and like just crazy stuff said to me as far as just like my basic, or what's the word I'm looking for, like expiration dates as like far as like age. I'm 27, and I remember like at 22 being told that like I really have till 24 to make it, and then anything after that like I might go into like other genres, because people were saying, well, there's maybe not a place for like, and it sounds crazy to say like mid-20s is like old in the music industry because it is so young, but I had such a like toxic viewpoint of like, if I don't make it by a certain age, or like what my viewpoint of success is, like I'm gonna have to change genres or like go back to a genre that's maybe like more widely accepted for like quote older women, even though I was like 24, 25. So it's just definitely been like interesting, like shaping my viewpoint of that, like as I've gotten older, and again, older meaning like 27, yeah, I've really had to like deconstruct, I think, a lot of like my viewpoint of that, which is like sad looking back, like realizing, you know, I was 22 thinking I was like running out of time when really it's like only just beginning, and it takes 10 years to like create your artistry and like your like everything about you. And I feel like I'm like just getting started.
How would you say your experience has been in the industry as a trans masc dance music producer?
That's an interesting question. I have a lot of thoughts about this, to be honest. I've kind of experienced being in this industry in like two separate sort of identities, I suppose, because before I came out as trans masc, I sort of identified as non-binary but femme-leaning. So I hadn't like started my medical transition, didn't know if I would even medically transition at that point. And I was like very feminine. I'm AFAB, so I guess a lot of people didn't even know I was non-binary. They just kind of thought I was cis. And the experience that I had with that sort of identity compared to like now, you know, being out, you know, medically transitioned for like a year now, it's been very different. I've noticed a very different attitude towards me as an artist, positive and negative, definitely. I think I've had experiences which have been really great, where I've been spotlighted and like platformed for, you know, being South Asian and being trans masc, which is really, really lovely. And I know like one or two other South Asian trans masc people, like out of all the people that I know. Like it's really nice, and it feels quite, what's the word, like I feel quite honored to have that platform sometimes to sort of show people that there are people like me out there. And even if you're from like a conservative background or, you know, Pakistani background like I am, you can, you know, express yourself and do the things that you want to do. But I've definitely had quite a lot of experiences also where I've been sort of I've lost opportunities because of who I am, or been overlooked, or sort of pushed to the side quite a bit as well, which obviously doesn't feel very great. I noticed that when I sort of identified as more like femme as well, that I was fetishized quite a lot, and I was booked a lot because of sort of, you know, being fetishized pretty much, which wasn't great. So it's a wide range of sort of like experiences that I've had, but I'd say overall pretty good. Overall, I feel quite accepted in the sort of queer nightlife scene that I'm in. Although I think there definitely could be a lot more platforms for trans masc people, because I think that in general, like in the scene, as accepted as we are compared to sort of, you know, other general sort of club settings and raves, there's definitely more that could be done to spotlight trans mascs.
How has your experience been in the industry as a female dance music producer and artist and DJ?
I would say that navigating this industry as an underrepresented, marginalized artist has been quite difficult. If you're in an underrepresented group, it feels like you have to almost work twice as hard in order to have your voice heard and to prove yourself. There's been so many instances where people don't believe that I'm a DJ because I'm a woman, or when I'm speaking to people and I get, you know, horrible comments online telling me that I'm a narcissist pretending to DJ. I'll speak to someone and they'll say, oh, it's definitely not because you're a woman though. Like, not everything's about being a woman. And no, it's not, like, obviously not. But these people would not be writing these comments on, you know, DJ profiles who are men. Like, they wouldn't at all. Like, come on, you know. And yeah, there's just been so many times where I respond to these comments and I just need to stop, to be honest, because they mean nothing to me. They have no idea who I am. They have no idea if I'm a narcissist pretending to DJ or not. But I've just
that is so
it's
mean.
Horrible, isn't it? But this person followed me and I was like, why do you follow me if you think that I'm a narcissist? Yeah. I know.
If you don't want my content that is me, please
People
leave.
are wild,
you don't have to be
honestly.
here.
Like, where do you get the confidence and the audacity to be writing and commenting on people's like profiles that you don't know?
So it's been up and down. I've I've been in the industry for 10 years now, so I've been through the motions of like feeling like a victim and also like being accused of like having the benefit in the scene as well. So it's like, but now I've realised like it's only in the past year I've come to this conclusion that, you know, there's just certain areas where I do get an advantage and there's certain areas where I get a disadvantage, and that's just how it works. And like for instance, a female can use their sexuality to promote themselves, like their image, a lot easier than a man can.
How do you feel the scene could be more welcoming to upcoming artists, producers, DJs in this queer rave hyperpop scene?
I think specifically this is from a viewpoint of like me living in the South where there's not a lot of it. And because it is such like an internet based genre, I wish there were more like where I'm living, physical places to go for people who like hyperpop and like in that scene to like have a safe space and everything, because living in the South is just interesting and there's like not a huge like variety of like electronic music or safe places, especially like deep in the South. And I really wish that we were able to have these kind of communities and spaces where like no one was worried about like the political aspects of like enjoying this music like in a very conservative state.
How do you see the scene becoming more welcoming to upcoming artists and producers?
I would say that it's definitely taking steps to do that already. Like I was mentioning about Club POC, and I've seen, you know, a lot of nights sort of notice the inequalities towards, you know, POC and I'd say trans mask people as well. So there's definitely already sort of initiatives and people taking that into their own hands to try and make it more welcoming. But I think that's literally it. Like we need more POC people and trans mask people like putting on nights. We need more people just kind of having it as like an innate thing on their lineups or their nights when they're organizing. Like it's not just a checkbox, you know, it's a given. Like you will book POC people, you will book, you know, sort of people from all backgrounds, all cultures, like all identities, all presentations. I think probably the most important thing to get to that would just be the education. Like people talk about, like I talk with other POC people who are in the scene about this, and it's kind of a thing that we just know, you know, it's kind of, we just know, but there's like, for example, white people who might not even have thought about it or put thought into it. So we just need to bring it to people's attention so that they can sort of implement it when they're promoting or producing nights or et cetera, et cetera. It would be cool to like sort of have like panels or workshops or, you know, some sort of like social media education about the topic, just so that, yeah, people become aware, because we can build our own spaces, which evidently we are trying to do, but it would be nice to have that integration into sort of other spaces as well.
Obviously, being a female identifying person myself, as a trans woman, when I think about inclusivity, I think about it for the trans community, and somebody who's actually making waves for the trans community in music right now is the singer of a band called Tailgate.
Right, okay.
And their singer Casper is working towards setting up a criteria that a venue has to meet in order to be considered a trans-friendly safe space.
No way.
And I think that would actually be a really positive move in terms of inclusivity for live music and for the trans community. Because right now, a venue just has to say it's a safe space to be considered a safe space. It doesn't mean anything when a venue says that. That doesn't mean they've got like trans-friendly bouncers there or anything like that, you know. So an actual legal document of requirements that have to be met by a venue,
and a benchmark
before they can be considered a safe space. I think that's something that I've seen that could genuinely happen.
Do you feel accepted into the world of hyperpop and queer rave? Like, do you find that the space is, you know, you say you've supported non-binary artists and female artists, and they're nice support places.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself accepted in the general world, like from crowds to you as an artist to you as a producer?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I've always been quite like sure of myself, I think, which has kind of driven me forward, which is good. But even then, like, I feel like sometimes people don't understand like the auto-tune aspect of what I do. Maybe they think it's more
a cheat.
Yeah, like I can't sing, but it's more of like a stylistic choice, and trying to explain that to people who don't understand that, you know, everyone's got their own tastes, but I think I respect a lot of what I don't do and what I'm not familiar with, because like being an independent artist, as hard as it is, like we don't really need to like knock each other down as such, yeah. And so there's been a couple comments that I've encountered, but I think hyperpop's kind of moving into more of the mainstream now, with like Charlie XCX being like at the forefront of like pop music, and she's someone that I really aspire to be like, and it's really great seeing that.
Do you feel like people get your music?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. Anyway, and if they don't, that's fine as well. Like I'm not really. I grew up like super emo and like a little school in Yorkshire, and so like no, I was. Like naturally, I'm quite happy with people not really like being on the same level as me, I think. So I kind of make music for me and my friends and like what we feel at the time.
Do you feel like there is enough QTI POC for people listening, that meaning queer, trans and or intersex person of colour, representation in queer rave and hyperpop?
No. Hard no. This is something that I think about constantly, you know, like being a QTI POC person in like the queer rave scene, it's a step up from like heteronormative sort of clubs and raves and that music scene, but it's definitely not there. Like, there's nights such as you said you interviewed Taken by Marshall in another episode, and they obviously have started an initiative called Club POC, which is I've DJ'd there, went to the first one. It was amazing, honestly. Like, I think we need a lot more platforms to sort of spotlight QTI POC people, because I guess a lot of the time I think it's just due to the cultural background, at least for South Asian people, being in the music industry and the creative industry often isn't very accepted in our culture, which makes it harder for people to pursue that sort of avenue. But I feel like if we had those platforms, those nights specifically catering to and for, you know, QTI POC people, we would get a lot more sort of, I guess, attention, or a lot more of a space to create, express ourselves and connect with people like us too.
Do you feel accepted in the world of kind of like DJing and hyperpop and queer rave music?
I think yes and no, because I often feel like I'm an imposter in this industry. I often convince myself that I actually don't know how to DJ, that I'm not good at what I do, and that I'm just pretending, and that people are going to find out eventually that I'm terrible and, you know, I'm going to get sort of cancelled or whatever. But yeah, not for like being a horrible person, just for not doing a good job. But I've just convinced myself in my brain that I don't know what I'm doing. But then also when I go to sort of a queer rave or a night that's meant to be like inclusive, I've never felt more of a sense of belonging than I do there. Sometimes I feel like an imposter in these spaces, feeling like I don't truly belong, but then I'm able to be my complete true self when I'm there, and I don't have anything to worry about, and then that is then reflected through the music that I play and I share with other people without sort of fear of judgment. So I feel like that's a place where I can truly thrive, and I don't have to worry about the imposter syndrome and all of that kicking in. So yeah, I'd say yes and no.
I feel like in Leeds, like everyone, like it's really nice when people are like, oh, like you're in BSB. I remember the first time me and Lulu got like recognised for like doing BSB, like it must have been like 2 years ago, and we were like, oh my God, like no way. And like one of my best mates, Max, like he used to run after school club which was like the OG like PC Music Night in Leeds, and like he's always been like such a big supporter of us, which is like, yeah, because I look up to him a lot because like he brought like that sound like into Leeds, and like yeah, I had like so much support of him, off like fellow promoters like Ash who runs Toothpick, and like Josh who runs Dreamland, and yeah, just like everyone really, like the Love Muscle like crew, and I feel like we've been like Wharf has like fully accepted us, like the staff there are like amazing, they love like having like our nights on, and like yeah, I do feel like people
accept you.
Yeah,
and you
I do
just
feel very
like,
accepted.
Do you feel accepted into kind of this world of dance music and rave culture?
I feel like I'm slowly being accepted as much as any other artist at my level, you know, as I pick up opportunities, hopefully more opportunities come from that. I do feel accepted to an extent. There is the geographical implications of being from North Wales, which doesn't really have much of a scene for the music I represent. So it's kind of hard to feel included with the local music scene at the moment, even though I'm really pushing to bring some new sounds to the town. A lot of what's going on in Wrexham at the moment is, you know, you've got new, fresh faces on the scene putting on gigs for themselves, and there's nobody there, and everybody is next door singing Come On Eileen in the karaoke bar. And it's getting a bit old now. Like, we need to sort of save some of the spaces for the newer faces.
What do you think about the genre of hyperpop, and would you want to be referred to as a DJ that played it?
That is a good question. I feel very connected to the genre, hyperpop, PC music, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. When I first heard it years ago, it felt like it sort of unlocked something inside me. I'd never heard anything like it before, sort of the experimental high production value, the genre bending sounds sort of scratched an itch in my brain that I never knew was there. Honestly, give me pots and pans and the clanging sounds any day. Like, it's literal music to my ears. I want something so horrible and disgusting that it hurts your ears, but I love that. Do you know what I mean? I need something like all-encompassing and intense, which is what I love about it. Or I love the fact that it can be the opposite of that and be sort of beautiful and sparkly and obviously over-exaggerated. But I think the main thing that I love about it is that it transcends so many boundaries which are normally and structurally placed upon music. Like, it has its own rules completely. But I wouldn't necessarily call myself a hyperpop artist because the music that I play is more trancey. I play a lot of hard house. It's just very fun, fast, upbeat. I play a lot of like kind of sexy techno, and it does contain elements of that kind of music, but I would say I'm more of an electronic dance music artist, but I'm very inspired by hyperpop and pop in general.
I think I was thinking about this last night, looking back, like I discovered and like knew hyperpop, like I feel like in a very different state than it is now. And not even like in like it was better back then, because I think I was discovering like when it was Sophie was on the rise and like Pop 2 was coming out, and like that was what I knew as hyperpop. And I know that like there's been a lot of discussion of like during the pandemic it really took like a turn, like with the like 100 Gex EP, like, which I love, like that's one of my favorite projects of all time, and it's kind of become like a different sound. And I was kind of joking in my mind of like maybe hyperpop is the friends we made along the way. However, I truthfully think it is like a communal sound more so, and it's kind of like more so about, and it is like an internet community at the end of the day. And I think for everybody, it has a different sound to them. It's like, you know, there's that like bubblegum bass sound that I knew it as, to kind of like, you know, when I look at like the hyperpop playlist on Spotify today, like it's gone more of like that almost like emo hyperpop route, and I love that as well.
Yeah, I think my music's kind of very a mix. Like, using a lot of electric guitars in places, but I think it all does boil down to like a hyperpop kind of realm. And I think with the term, people don't quite know what it means, so people might not take it as seriously as like certain genres of music, but I'm comfortable with that. I think I quite like it like that, but I know that it's quite controversial to a lot of artists because they go like more experimental, and I don't know. I feel quite comfortable being a hyperpop artist. I like saying producer nowadays as well.
What do you think about the genre of hyperpop?
I think it's brilliant.
So how do you feel comfortable being referred to as a hyperpop artist?
I mean, I'm comfortable with anything that anyone wants to refer to me as. I'm not going to tell anyone to like not refer to me as something. Like whatever you want to do, that's okay. But I wouldn't put the label on myself, because I don't really think I want to put a label on myself for anything. Like, and that goes beyond just genre. Like any part of me, I'm really like, I want to stay fluid to like all of it. So, like I love hyperpop. I think it's a brilliant scene, and I think it's so exciting. I'm really excited to see where it keeps going, because it feels like it's always progressing and changing. And I'm the same. Like I don't want to stay maybe like, you know, maybe in a couple of years I never play hyperpop music and I never make hyperpop music, and that's okay too. And then I come back to it. Like I think I'm just like very open to all of it.
So for people who are maybe just entering into the scene, who are maybe like, you know, budding hyperpop queer rave artists of the future, what kind of advice would you give to them in, you know, how to navigate these situations and, you know, how to get gigs and that kind of stuff?
I think that your best friend is networking. Honestly, I've heard that word so much now that I hate it, and it feels so clinical, but networking is your best friend. I've just come to notice as the months and years have gone by that it's not what you know, that it's who you know. The more friends and, you know, connections that you can make in this industry, the better, because at the end of the day, it's these people who will recommend you to other people. That's how you get the opportunities, the chances to play, the chances to make music, the chances to share music with people. I think your best friend is just networking, and also never giving up. I know that sounds really cliche, but there will be lots of times where you feel like you want to give up and you don't want to carry on because everything just feels rubbish and pointless. But do not give up, because who knows, someone who can really change your life will take a chance on you when you are least expecting it. So I would say networking and not giving up. I know those are the most cliche answers that I could have given, but that's the best advice I can give.
If even just one person listens to a song and they're like, oh wow, this really resonated and helps me sort of figure something out in my own life, or figure something out in this world that we live in right now, like that, there's nothing more special than that. And it's sort of why I think maybe if I'd really like thought deeply about this release just before I pressed the button to like put it out into the world, I could have really just been like, actually no, this is too scary, it's too much on the line, and what if people don't like it, and what if people take the wrong meanings from it, or whatever. But actually you're risking that one person who finds it and finds something really beautiful out of it, and like finds something really like life-changing out of it. You're risking them not hearing it. So I was just like, I've got to just get it out there. Like that's sort of the attitude I see. Like music, just like let it be in the world and let it just sort of say its thing and not worry about it. Just like enjoy it.
So what advice would you give to people who are kind of upcoming hyperpop artists or kind of wannabe hyperpop artists?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say like this is advice like I had to give myself as well, as like stop taking everything so seriously. And that was like advice I gave myself when it came to like songwriting, because I was just like being very hard on myself about like certain things. Is like at the end of the day, everyone just like wants to have fun. And, you know, when you're going to these shows and like these clubs and these raves, like it's about the music and it's about having like a really, really fun time. And so make what you want to listen to as well. Like when I'm writing and when I'm like with a producer, I'm making something that like I would want to hear in a club. And like the clubs that I've been to, you know, in the South aren't always playing what I want to hear. And so I'm trying to make stuff that I want to hear like when I'm out. I would also say too, like, if you aren't a producer, it helps to know a little bit of production. I am like at a very, very basic level, but it helps like knowing your way around like a basic demo, or even like tuning and comping your own vocals. Like that's something that I think is going to translate like really well, like once you start working with like producers and like getting into like bigger rooms and everything, is being able to like direct your sound, because at the end of the day it is your sound, and the better you know it, like the better it'll translate.
As cliche as it sounds, like, stand your ground and stay true to yourself. Don't water yourself down to try and get more bookings, you know. Don't change yourself to try and make connections, you know. I find that I went through that as well. Like, when I was like first going through the scene, I thought I had to sort of hide parts of my identity or filter myself to make connections with the right people to get bookings, but it's not going to nurture you, you know. It's not going to nurture yourself as a person or as an artist to do that. So stay rooted in who you are, what you believe in, preach it, you know, like preach who you are, what you believe in, like let your voice be heard through your music. And when you go into it with self-strength in that way, like there's no way you can't, you know, get what you want out of it. People always look to those who are confident in themselves, you know. People take inspiration off people who are confident in themselves and speak their truth. So I think by doing that, you'll just get the best of everything, really. And don't compromise who you are for what you do. Basically, just do what you love and be who you are.
The one lesson that I learned recently in the last few years that I wish I knew at the start was to kind of trust myself a bit more, like, and don't copy other people as much, like, because when you're learning, that's how you learn from someone else. I wish that I was like, no, actually, I'm like, you kind of do know what you're doing sometimes, like, and then you will just like go along with what someone else is saying. Does that make sense?
And people who were kind of wanting to discover more about Mastaratt, could you give, you know, a few social handles and stuff like that so we can find you from this podcast?
On Instagram, it is just at Mastaratt, Mastaratt. You can also stay up to date with the events at WOB 40 Wales. Mastaratt's the same on all the socials. I think on YouTube it might be Mastaratt X. So
but
yeah,
I guess you can find that from
Instagram.
one social handle already. So if you find you on Instagram,
Yeah,
all the stuff will be linked there. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you find me on Instagram, there's a link tree in the bio, so everything's
Sick.
connected. If you want to stay up to date with the music, I really encourage you to use Bandcamp. I will probably put stuff on streaming services in the future, but right now I've got some of my instrumental dubby stuff on on Bandcamp. Got DJ mixes on SoundCloud.
What are the future aspirations of your personal projects?
Oh,
So with like Princess
yeah.
Elfbar, but then also Boot Shaking Besties.
Yeah, so with BSB, like, we're just continuing like doing our nights. Obviously the loss of Wire is like really hard because we've loved doing our last like 3 nights there, but obviously Wharf Chambers is like our home. So we're gonna be going back to Wharf from September. We're not really doing events over summer just because I'm tired, I need a break. So we're back in September, and then we're doing like a few like collab nights, which will be really exciting towards the end of the year.
Cool.
We're also playing at Boomtown. It's not actually announced yet, so that'll be really fun. It's called E Numbers. So we're doing a takeover with Farmageddon. So it's DJ Gaylord and Royal Tweedy, who are like 2 like amazing producers and DJs who we've also booked for our first 2 nights. So they've got us on. So we're really looking forward to that. So that's kind of like BSB, what we're doing, just kind of like doing what we've been doing, but like getting bigger DJs in and stuff like that, and just like growing and having more like ridiculous themes.
And then what about for you yourself as Princess Elfbar?
So for me, like I'm definitely focusing on like producing at the minute with like Liam, like doing 51 Angels, doing Prosecco Posse, and then doing my own stuff. I've been making like ambient trance. Shout out to the Leeds ambient trance community.
So what is the future of your project then? So what can we expect coming up from AMAVA? Like,
yeah, so I am getting ready for like a year of releases, or like my year of releases, because I know we're like a good chunk into 2024 already. I took a little bit of time off from releasing just because I was actually working on a couple other artists' EPs and projects that are going to be coming out sometime this year or next year. And I really was like missing that like songwriter bone of my body, and took some time off to like really invest into that. But now I'm getting ready to release something soon. I haven't really started promoting it yet just because we're figuring out logistics and everything, but that should be coming soon. And then nobody really knows this yet, but I'm working on a fuller project, an EP that I think possibly end of year, beginning of next year. We'll see. I really, really want to take my time with it, and I'm working with incredible people. And so we're taking our time, and also I really want to like go crazy with visuals as well, and that also takes a lot of time, because I love to like go be a part of like every step for the visuals.
What can we expect from Baby Goose in the future?
I don't want to give too much away, but I've got a few songs coming out this year potentially. I am actually releasing, speaking of Charlie XCX, I am releasing a Beg For You remix at some point, potentially next week. I've been sitting on this one for quite a while and been pushing back the release date because I want everything to be perfect for it. But that should be coming out next week, I think. On SoundCloud, not on Spotify. So I'm excited for everyone to hear that.
So I'm playing Kaz Stockroom on the... Oh, we're just talking about the Kaz, actually.
Yeah, we're just in Liverpool. If people don't know that place, Casimir Stockroom.
Casimir Stockroom
really nice.
On the 17th of July. It'll be like a little summer vibe. Get your cocktails in, dance. It'll be cute. And there might be new music very soon. I'm trying to make it perfect at the moment. So, yeah, very soon new music. And we'll see.
Exciting. So for the people who've listened to this podcast and they're like, I need MARiMAri in my life, where can they find you online on social media and such?
So you can find my Instagram under MARiMAri, TikTok MARiChan. I don't know why the username was taken already. And then Spotify, it's just MARiMAri. The I's are lowercase, everything else is capital.
I'm playing a couple of gigs in July for 2 really, really awesome nights. I won't say what right now just because, you know, they got to release their lineups and their posters and everything. But it's around Trans Pride, so keep an eye out like on Instagram and stuff for that. They're going to be both really important nights because they are obviously for Trans Pride, and it's something that I obviously believe very strongly in. So yeah, that'll be really fun. Other than that, I'm currently not putting on any nights or anything just because I'm sort of shifting a lot of my attention to visual art at the moment, and tattooing. So I guess not in terms of music, but in terms of that, I do have quite a few things coming up.
So the best place for people to find this would be where for yourself?
It would be my Instagram, which is PISSXIE. Yeah.
Brilliant, that's fine. And if you are looking for that, and you're listening, we will be popping it in the bio. So
Awesome.
You can find it there.
I'm actually starting a new project, like doing like non-rave music because I've always had a passion for it, and because of this problem I've been having, I've not fully explored it because it's like, yeah, it's just kind of what I love the music I play. It's just what I've kind of fallen into and pursued one path, and now I'm like, oh, I've neglected all this other music that I want to make, and I think I need to do it for myself now and just like enjoy it for me.
That's a really nice insight. What kind of music are you kind of moving towards then? What's the new project looking like? If you want to share, of course. I mean, you know, if you want to keep it top secret, that's totally cool too.
I can briefly share. I've been making more like future garage and trip. No, I haven't really. I want to do trip hop, but it's just like down tempo. Because you know, like making rave music all the time. It's quite intense. Like, so I get really hyped up when when I'm making tunes. When I'm making rave music, I'll literally skank in my room and dance to the tune I'm making. So I need a contrast, and I love making nice melodies, and you can't really do that in rave music. Like this, yeah, I'm just gonna explore that a bit more. I finally decided on a name, I think, for it. I'm gonna call it Mewki, I think.
Mewki?
Yeah.
MEWKI.
Might change.
Okay.
Though. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure people can, you know, find your social media from us or from wherever. What is your kind of upcoming releases? What are the kind of things we can expect from eleu in the next few months, years, etc.? Have you got any upcoming releases or gigs or
I've got
sets?
an upcoming release soon. It's actually like 2 weeks away, I think. Next Friday, so the 31st of May. It's just a single. It was actually meant to be on the EP. But when we were about to release it, we were like, we think this could be even better. Like it just had something really special in it. And we were like, we know that it could be even more than it was. So we sort of held it back. And yeah, we've been creating a music video for it. And I designed the cover with the help of a friend, but I love it. It's so nice. It's so me. It's so like summery. Like it's called Dolce Cabana. And it's just, yeah, like this little summer anthem, but also sort of it's got like a romantic love sort of tinge to it. But yeah, it's coming out next week. And then other releases, like there's so much in the works. I've got songs I'm trying to collaborate with like all the people I love and the people around me and my brother included. We've got something in the works. It doesn't have a deadline, so it might come out like in years. But and then just as like our collective, like it's obviously not just me on my own, there's sort of the wider group of us and there's like so much music being made every day. So we're sitting on a lot of unreleased stuff. I'll shout myself out. Do
you want to do a special shout out to yourself now? Yeah. And for people to try and find you in the internet sphere,
yes.
What kind of social media you use? What's your handle?
So my handle is on Instagram is @_eleu, which is ELEU __.
So lots of underscores going on.
So many underscores. And that's my main artist page. But if you want to follow Lofts, then it's @line156, sort of all spelled out. That's the label I help run and the collective that we are, and that's got all the exciting stuff on it. And then our night, 2 Crens Deep, is just @2crensdeep on Instagram.
Thank you for coming along on our journey into upcoming DJs, artists and producers. We really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you want to learn more, you can find our social media @ServingKult on all platforms. There will also be extra interview content, behind the scenes and more, so make sure to give us a follow. And if you want to hear some of the music from our interviewees, check out the Serving Kult radio show. Tune in next month to hear about all those who make the music possible behind the scenes. See you soon.